Hey guys, it is a 1/17/2007 NBA slate. I'm Jeff. I got my buddy Kyle. We're just gonna go over today's slate and some of our favorite picks, and then we'll make a lineup at the end to help you guys out. So Kyle, what do you like for?
How's it going, everybody? Well, what is it, a five-game slate today? So, there's definitely guys that are interesting. Like, you first things first, you pay up for James Harden. I mean,
I mean, I'm not paying up for him.
yeah, I think he's pretty much a fade today, but I don't know. I mean, he's always got that upside. He dropped 103, what, 2 weeks ago. He has that upside of hundreds, which obviously is pretty extremely rare. I've never seen that in DraftKings ever until this year. I think that was pretty cool. James Harden hit the 100 mark in DraftKings, which I honestly didn't think was possible, but that dude did it. That's the only thing I'm going to say is that he dropped 100 in DraftKings.
Well, I
It's
mean,
like,
so did Anthony Davis, and
yeah, I don't know.
he has injury the other day.
But no, I mean, obviously he's pretty much a fade today. I think if you're going to run him, maybe in cash lineups would probably be about the only thing I would do. But I feel like there's just too much value. There's too many guys that have a really high upside tonight, and we'll get there. But I think that James Harden is almost a lock to be faded. However, if you want to play him in cash, that's definitely something I think that you should do.
Yeah,
Um,
totally agree.
but I don't know. I mean, if you want to go by the games and what time they are, or we could just go by point guards here and start filling up this DraftKings line.
I mean, yeah, I just want to go down the line, like, and check these point guards out.
Okay.
Lowry, man.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I played him last time, but the blowouts is a concern.
what's funny though is what just happened last night, and I guess I don't really want to talk about it a whole lot because I got burned last night. But I think a lot of people, if you're watching this and you played DFS last night, you're pretty salty. A lot of the guys that went the highest owned ended up busting, and a lot of guys that people thought for sure were going to go off did not. So, I mean, it was a pretty rough night. Happens like that, I think. And just for the example of saying that Toronto blows out Brooklyn, I'm going to go ahead and say that that does not happen because just like last night, no way I would have told you the Golden State game would have been a 40-point game. There's no, if you would have told me that before the game started, I would have laughed at you.
Yeah,
It
I
ended up
know.
being a 40-point blowout. So nothing ever is safe in basketball. So I think Kyle Lowry is actually one of the best plays. Definitely a cash game lock. And I think that if you're going to play him in GPP, it's definitely doable.
Would you stack DeRozan and Lowry together?
I mean, I don't know. DeRozan, I don't know if they're going to have both of them go off to be able to beat Brooklyn. I think that, oh man, it's always doable though. I mean, DeRozan for some reason hasn't done very well against Brooklyn. I'm trying to think who he matches up with over there today. Now Brooklyn's defense is horrible. I know
I
that.
mean,
So,
yeah, Spencer Dinwiddie is, I think, starting because what's his name? Isaiah Whitehead's not playing, so I
oh,
mean, he's gonna just wreck this kid. But I mean, and then you have Bojan, who has the worst defense in the league, who's DeMar DeRozan. So I mean, yeah, I mean you're right. You can't just say it's gonna be a blowout because what happens in basketball is just unpredictable. But yeah, they do have the best matchups on the board right now.
cash
So
box, but if you're doing GPP, I think you can find some better value
I,
positions.
I
But
mean,
point guard, pretty stacked, I think tonight. Point guard has a lot of good plays.
all right, let's go move down here to the next person. How about Russell? What are we doing with him?
I think I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to D'Angelo Russell. Not a ton, but he's definitely one of those guys that, as soon as you don't play him, he will go 50 bomb or something. So I won't have a ton of D'Angelo Russell tonight, but I definitely think he is a good GPP play. I'll have him. If you want to do percentages, probably like 8% or something. I don't know, not too much, but just enough so I can say I have him.
I'm gonna play him. I think a decent amount is because I think Clarkson's dealing with the sprain, the right ankle, and listed as questionable. So it's either going to be between D'Angelo Russell, Nick Young, or Lou Will. So you have to play one of those three. They're going to go off. So it's just a matter of which one. You have
Lou,
to get it right.
yeah, Lou Williams is super streaky. He's went off last game. He might continue to do that, like, especially against shooting guards against Denver is a thing. Always has been. Just I don't know why. I know that Gary Harris is out, but and Will Barton maybe you could say is a actually Gary Harris is a pretty decent defender. I heard it. Anyway, I know Denver gives up a lot of points to opposing shooting guards, so I think out of those three, I'd rather just take the shot on Lou Williams at that price. But again, that's a shooting guard position right now, I think.
I mean, go over and talk about Lou Williams. I mean, he did go off last game, but I mean, it's just like his minutes are sus. You never know when he's gonna get. He got 27 minutes and he dropped that 37, and then the 22 last game. So it's just like you never know.
The thing to keep in consideration though with D'Angelo Russell today is that he's 7,000, and that's not cheap. You know, if we're talking 6,000,
Oh wow, you're right.
if you're talking $6,000 or something, yeah, I'm all over it. But at $7,000, you know, you're kind of screwed there. I think the best play on point guard of the night is easily Darren Williams or Kyle Lowry. I mean, I think Darren Williams could get you a 35 to 40 tonight. And you always like to chase the narrative. And I don't know if Darren Williams is 100% from Chicago, but I know he has like ties with Chicago or something to do with Chicago. And
I think he went to Bradley or something. Or might be to be thinking about
yeah, no,
freaking
that's a different guy. That's Sean Livingston and
I think it's Iguodala or something.
Iguodala he lived in Springfield, yeah, but Sean Livingston and then it was Deron Williams. I don't think it was Darren Williams.
That was Deron. I'm sorry, Deron. I've
But
always called him Darren.
all I know is played point guards against Chicago, and also every time Darren Williams has played Chicago, even this year, he's done well. He dropped a 35.5 last time. He did horrible. He shot 27% from the field, still got a nice 35. Darren Williams is my favorite play at point guard. I mean, you can talk a little bit about Goran Dragic in that fast-paced Miami game or Houston game. You know, Houston has no defense, so.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah, I like Darren Williams a lot today too. 5,900. I didn't realize Russell was raised up that high but DraftKings is really good at pricing up when they know it's a good matchup and they know Moutier is horrible at defending and all that. So yeah, I mean, 7K is a lot, but what about Gordon Dragic against Patrick Beverly defense? Is that?
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to talk about it a whole lot because I don't think it's at 6.8. It's a fast-paced game, but anytime you have Patrick Beverly on you, I don't know. It just scares me a little bit, and I think that Goran Dragic is still going to produce, but I think it's going to be a little bit limited. I think it's going to be right around what he's dropping lately, which is right around the 30.
But, yeah, I agree. At 6.8, you need to be getting like 40 or 35 plus from me.
And that's what Darren Williams will get you for $1,000 cheaper. I mean, Goran Dragic, you know, he might be worth one lineup or two just for the exposure to that fast-paced game that it's going to be with Houston and the shitty defense that it's going to have from Houston. But I'm not too
on. I'm going to plug Darren Williams in right now. How about we just make the lineup as we just go through this, kind of like that'll be our point guard right here.
All right.
For the lineup that we'll have at the end, and then we can just kind of like do that. Yeah, that's cool.
We can also talk about value too at some point because I'll have tonight. I think the definition for me, how I'm going to be designing my lineups tonight are going to be based upon value rather than you could say all-star potential. I'm just going to go with the guys, whether they're all-stars or bench players or whatever. I'm going to go with the guys that I think can get me the most value. And we'll talk about that later. But
well, yeah, you want the value per price. Like, it doesn't matter. That's why no one pays up for James Harden, because if that was the case, yeah, you'd always pay up and then try to get your 50s. But his price isn't for the value. So, I mean, yeah, I totally agree.
The funny part is, though, there's going to be a ton of people that have James Harden tonight. If you're a casual DFSer, I think you just play James Harden. But obviously, if you get into it and you know what you're doing, you can also, discover that these guys are GPP plays, which means that, they'll surprise you. And that's something that I've learned over the 2 years of playing this is that no one is ever safe and no one is ever, out of the question. So,
All right, dude.
that's
One dude
shoot.
we have to talk about is Ricky Rubio. Like, this dude is going ham. He's been dropping 50s, 40, 40, and I guess he fell off last game, but they dropped his price a lot already.
Well,
So,
I can already tell you that it was the first game Zach Levine came back. So that was why. And
oh
also,
yeah, true, true, true.
it was also against Dallas, who is good against their slower pace, and they're fairly good against guards, apparently. So he actually put up a decent number of 31. He still got 10 assists. I actually think he did play a really good game still. He
Well, dude,
didn't.
he's 2 points away from a double double.
Yeah, I think that man, I kind of like him. I don't know. All depends on if Zach Levine is 100% or not. I started looking at Zach Levine's log a little bit last night. Started realizing that it looks like his shot attempts are down by over half, which kind of concerns me right now. It makes me seem like he's not 100%. If you look at his shot attempts the last 2 games, he played 34 minutes and only put up 8 shots, which is just not what a shooting guard does. And so that concerns me a little bit, which makes me like Rubio more. But I don't know what to, think. He's only put up, 7 and 8 shots in his last 2 games, which he normally puts up about 15, 17, something like that. So
I mean, I like him honestly because if you can stack him and Darren Williams together and they both get you 35 plus, aren't you happy?
well, yeah, I guess, but 6,000, 35 at 6,000 isn't, it's what, like maybe 1.5 times value or something like that. It's not, crazy. Whereas like if I were going to shooting guard today, I love me some Eric Gordon, those guys down there. But if you want to go down the list per position here, I think we first have to talk about James Harden, obviously, which we kind of did already, and then we're gonna have to go to Jimmy Butler because I think if you want to play anybody with upside that's not James Harden, don't look any further than Jimmy Butler. So I think Jimmy Butler is a very good play today. I mean, I don't know. I would never argue with anybody playing him right now.
Nah, I love Jimmy Butler. Freaking Jimmy G buckets. I will play him every day until he hits like, I guess 10K might be a little too high for me. Like maybe 9.5, but 9.1 is fine with me for what he can do. He dropped 80s, 50s, 60s. Like you just don't, if you're trying to pay for someone that's James Harden comparable and that perspective of dropping points tonight, then I would go Jimmy Butler for sure. Yeah, I like him.
One thing that I will say is I would say his upside's limited just a little bit tonight against Dallas. Again, it's just a slower paced game, therefore allowing less opportunities to generate those points. But like I said, if you don't want to go James Harden, I feel like it's just a no-brainer to go Jimmy Butler tonight. At that price, it's still pretty reasonable. You just said, you can drop 80s.
So yeah, I mean, you want to plug him in? Is he a must play?
Almost with that upside. If it were me, however, a lot of my favorite play at shooting guard, and I know I'm kind of skipping around a little bit, is going to be a guy like Eric Gordon. At that price, at that production, he's got a really safe floor. I'm in love with Eric Gordon every time he plays, but I could be just, it's a little bias there. He's done me really well. I think 2 games I cashed with Eric Gordon. Um,
He's
through
good.
my
I like him.
season. But anyway, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys at shooting guard tonight that I really like. A lot of guys at value. I think we should talk a little bit more about those before we pick somebody like, we got to talk about DeRozan a little bit against Brooklyn.
I mean, we touched up on him a little bit. I mean, he did really good. I was watching the game that day. I mean, he was getting whatever he wanted, but it's just like
The blowout, I think.
they blew him out. So it's just like they're gonna be at Brooklyn so it's not going to be a home game this time. So I guess you can say that Brooklyn has that in their favor today instead of that, So it's just like maybe it won't be a blowout, but
Yeah, you never know in this NBA. It's
yeah,
like we
if
learned
we play
last.
only one of them, for sure.
I don't, just do some real quick rationing. It's in my opinion, why would you pay 8.5K for DeRozan when you can pay $600 more for Jimmy Butler's upside? And I think that's where it is tonight. Is I'd rather just play Jimmy Butler at that price. But moving on, I mean, you could talk about Dwayne Wade. I think he's in a really nice spot tonight. Uh, it's just Dwayne Wade. I don't know really how much else there is to say. I mean, he's one of the best shooting guards that'll ever play the game, and he's still playing. He still has that. For some reason, 39 is his number, and I think 39 is again very reasonable tonight at 6,500. I think that's a good play. Um, I like Dwayne Wade quite a bit. I'll probably have him in about you know 20%. I like that.
Yeah, he's going to be guarded against Seth Curry today. I'm looking down at him. He's 3,900, getting some minutes. I mean, yeah, Dwayne Wade could pretty much destroy him, but if you're looking for some value, I guess at shooting guard too, Seth Curry right here,
If I
3,900.
I think if you're going to go value tonight at shooting guard, you look at Wesley Matthews, Dion Waiters, or Lou Williams. Lou Williams probably being my favorite of the plays. The only reason why is because Lou Williams is the streakiest shooter ever, and it looks like he's finally on, well, at least a little bit, and that's all he needs. I think that once he starts clicking, he made 5 of 9 threes, over 50% from the floor from three-point land last game, especially against this Denver defense, fast-paced game. Oh man, if Lou Williams does what he does again, you're looking at a 40 plus upside from Lou Williams tonight. I think he's one of those streaky guys, and I like to ride the streak. But I'm definitely good with a lot of shooting guards tonight. I mean, even Will Barton. Again, we talked a little bit about Eric Gordon. There's tons of shooting guards that are playable for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking over here at Young Waiters right here. He, I think, is one of my favorite plays
Yeah,
at shooting guard today too.
exactly. I mean, I love Darren Williams. I mean, sorry, Lou Williams and Deion Waiters, Will Barton, Eric Gordon, Dwayne Wade, Jimmy Butler. I mean, they're all just. There's a lot of pretty good plays tonight. But I'll go ahead
Well,
and.
who's your favorite though at shooting guard right now? You say Eric Gordon then?
Well, that's just me being biased. But if I go unbiased, Lou Williams. Just for if I'm playing a GPP, I want to try. I chase value again. That was my motto tonight. I just a value chaser. I try to want to chase that 30, 40 point upside at that price on Lou Williams. But I think if you want for this lineup and for the viewers tonight, I think we should take Dion Waiters in that fast-paced Houston game. I think he's going to perform really well tonight and put up a lot of shots. He does not afraid to shoot, and I think anybody who knows anything about the NBA knows Dion Waiters is going to shoot. He's going to shoot the ball. So I think in the Houston game, a guy that isn't afraid to shoot, sign me up.
Oh yeah, and he has James Harden defense. I just remembered. Oh yeah, you sign me up right now. I'm plugging him into the lineup like right now. What would you want to put him under, SF or shooting guard?
I think shooting guard for now, even though there's a lot of good shooting guards, but there's a lot of good small forwards too, and we'll get talking about that, I guess. Before we go off of shooting guard, though, I'll reiterate, there's a ton of good plays at shooting guard tonight. Um, and if you want to get like real sneaky at shooting guard, guys like Bogdanovich, Lou Williams, Nick Young, Seth Curry, Wesley Matthews isn't really a punt. I think he's a really good play as well. Lots of value at shooting guard tonight, so look for that. I think you could. So maybe
I'm
we should actually go small forward with him. Now that I think about it.
trying to see like how far you can go down in shooting guard, and if you were looking to punt, like minimum people for people that are looking, to stack stars for Any
Uh,
kind of lineup? What you got down here?
well, shooting guard, I don't think that would be the position to do it. But if you had to, tonight I love the value at shooting guard, so I don't think I'd be paying super low for a shooting guard tonight. But if you had to go down here, I think Nick Young is about one of the lowest I would go.
How about Danny Green?
Yeah, Danny Green would probably be the only other one down there. Um, with Danny Green playing a lot of minutes right now, he could definitely get you a 25. Um,
Yeah, almost near minimum. So I mean, yeah. I don't want to keep talking about shooting guard.
it's a good slate spot though.
Yeah, let's move on. I guess we talk about. Did we talk about Levine? Yeah, we did. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else. Josh Richardson's out, so that's one thing. Two, I guess to mention. Gary Harris is out, expected to be out for Tuesday. Yeah. Clarkson questionable. What else we got? I think that's all the news for that. All right. Small forwards. Who are your favorite plays for here?
Well, I'm glad we're going to get to talk about this because my favorite play of the night on this
I already have him up. So tell me.
favorite play of the day, and it has been for a while, and I just talked about it last night with one of my friends that Kawhi Leonard.
Oh, you have me wrong. All right.
Oh, really?
I thought you were gonna say freaking Damari Carroll, but all right.
Oh, that's funny. No, I think my favorite play on the board by far, still very reasonably priced for what he can do, is Kawhi Leonard. He has one of the safest floors out of any All Star I've ever rostered in DFS. I've been playing DFS, like I said, for only about 2 years now. And every time I play Kawhi Leonard, I'm pleasantly surprised, or not surprised, but I'm satisfied, and he has upside as well. But I think Kawhi Leonard is a for sure cash game lock. If you're playing cash tonight, play Kawhi Leonard. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. If you're playing cash, play Kawhi Leonard. And even if you're not, Kawhi Leonard is one of the best plays he's playing. He's putting up 30 real life points a game right now in the last three of his last 3 games. Put up 30 or more points, dropping 54, 42, and a 49 in fantasy. Basically is the Spurs, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. If anything, he's going to put them, hammer down the rest of this next half of the season. For me, I'm going to have a lot of exposure to Kawhi Leonard, almost to the point where he's going to be one of my locks, my favorite, my beast of the night for me. But yeah, there's a lot of good small forwards tonight too.
So, if you had to choose one between, I guess, Kawhi and Jimmy Butler, they're what 300 away from each other. Do you play them both, or just, I mean, what do you got here?
I think a fairly easy answer here. Cash games go Kawhi, and GPPs go Butler. But if I'm making a lineup, I'm looking to have them both. So, yeah.
I don't know. I guess yeah, you could put them both in there if we can get some value, which we'll probably have to go through here later. But let me. Do you like Wilson Chandler? I think you mentioned him earlier. I think I like him a little bit. He has
Yeah.
the potential to drop 50s, but he hasn't done it in a while, so maybe that's a better reason to play him.
Well, the thing is here, the little bit of an injury watch is if Darrell Arthur doesn't play, which he probably won't. I don't really see why he would against the Lakers. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they'll rush him back and he'll come back. But from what I was looking into, doesn't look like Darrell Arthur is going to play. Um, I really like Wilson Chandler's upside. Like you said, he really hasn't shown it lately. His price is still in the 6,000 range though. So if he gets you a 40 for 6.7, I feel like that's a really, that's nice value. But anything's possible against these Lakers here, and I think that's something you always have to look at. I really like this Denver Laker game, and just for the fact that it's the Lakers just make you run, they get out and run, and that's kind of what Denver does too. And I can see this game. I haven't looked up the total projected yet, but I feel like this game could have a lot of fantasy value to it. You just got to find those guys that are going to have the highest, ceiling of that. I like Wilson Chandler quite a bit. His price is still reasonable.
Yeah.
But Harrison Barnes, is he going to be guarding Jimmy Butler, or is Jimmy Butler going to be guarding him, do you think?
I'm looking on RotoWire. They have Wesley Matthews at small forward on Jimmy Butler, and then Harrison Barnes on Taj Gibson.
Well, do you think Jimmy Butler will have to guard Harrison Barnes tonight, though?
I mean, I'm sure they'll put Jimmy on whoever's hot. I mean, he guards whoever.
I mean, they played already before, and Harrison Barnes put up 21 shots on Chicago, which is a lot. Um, but again, I'm looking for a lot of value tonight. Harrison Barnes, for me, has always been a cash game play. He has a little upside. He does have that 40-point upside into the 6,000 range, which is always nice value. But for me, Harrison Barnes is more of a cash game play. So if you're making tournament or GPP lineups, I feel like maybe you could get away from Harrison Barnes and go other places tonight, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit with Wesley Matthews, DeMar Carroll. There's some value to be had. You just have to kind of find it.
I just wanted to say one more thing about Wilson Chandler. Like, I'm looking here. He only played 21 minutes yesterday, and he almost had a double double because of foul trouble. It looks like so he should be well rested in playing. So I almost like him a lot today. So
Well,
I just wanted to mention that.
Kenneth Faried, I know he plays power forward, but Kenneth Faried will likely be maybe a part of this game too. So I hope that doesn't hurt. That's one thing, though. I do like Wilson Chandler a lot too. Although if Kenneth Faried plays and has a great game, I think it could hurt Wilson Chandler's value a little bit. But again, it is the Lakers. He could still get 15 rebounds. Um, so I don't know.
All right.
But
Who else do you like on here? Wiggins. Is he any Wiggins tonight?
no, Wiggins is always a nice GPP play, but again,
Only 6K now. Wow.
yeah, he has that upside, and he always tends to you know, as soon as you start doubting him, he'll have a huge game. He's that type of guy. Um, I'm
Uh,
not I'm not too big on Andrew Wiggins tonight, only because they're going against San Antonio, and I'm pretty sure Kawhi Leonard will be on the most of the night, and no thank you on that. But um, you're right. I mean, his price is lower. He has fairly good upside. He will go super low owned, but there's a good reason why he'll go low owned. I don't think he'll be in play tonight. Gallinari is somebody who has potential good upside. He plays tons of minutes. Looks like even though he's injured, he still played 40 minutes last game. Last night, actually, he played 40 minutes. They're on a back-to-back, I forgot. So, uh,
yeah. I mean, anybody in Denver is pretty
yeah.
much on a back to back. So it's like you just have to hope.
But favorite play on small forward is easily Kawhi Leonard. But if you're looking for value, I think that's what we could talk about next. I mean, the guys down here in the 5,000 range are really good. I mean, you can even talk about Doug McDermott a little bit. Yeah, I think you have to at least acknowledge that he can have a 30-point game, and guess who he did it against. I think a lot of people forget that Memphis is a tough defense. Memphis is no team you really want to play against, and he drops 30, 31 real life points, 6 rebounds, and good for 43 fantasy points against Memphis of all teams. So Doug McDermott is definitely a nice GPP play if you want to chase that. I don't blame anybody if they want to do that. I don't think he's worth a lot of your lineups, but I definitely think Doug McDermott is the lowest that I'll go at small forward tonight.
But dude, you gotta remember that Dwayne Wade, I think, was out that last game, and I'm pretty sure Memphis is pretty bad against like forwards that can shoot threes. They can't guard. They don't go outside. Their interior defense is amazing, but if there's a forward that can knock down threes, like that's why like I always pick like Ryan Anderson, people like that go against Memphis because they just sink threes and blow up.
I
But
definitely agree with you, but all I'm saying is at that price, he doesn't really need to do much more than a 26, 27 to get you, you can win a tournament with that. So for 4,400, I feel like he gets about a 25 to 30 tonight. But again, it's just because of some of the stuff I've seen about him. Supposedly they're going to start trying to lean on him more. It's against a shitty Dallas team, and why not let him try again Is what I'm thinking. But again, it's just one of those risky value plays you could try. But my favorite value play of the night is easily Damari Carroll. Um, you don't really have to even um, know. You just play people against Brooklyn and you're fine. What I meant to say is like you don't even need to know um, who the guy is on the team that's playing Brooklyn. Just play them because they're playing Brooklyn. So Mark Carroll is easily in play. Last time he dropped, actually he went against Brooklyn twice already this season. Averages a 30 in fantasy, which is like 5 times value at his price or something. So, um,
Yeah, he did pretty good against him last time.
yeah, against Brooklyn, I don't see why you wouldn't play Damari Carroll or anyone's in play that's playing Brooklyn. So, but at his price, his production, his minutes, I think it's very safe to play Damari Carroll. He's putting up a lot of shots right now, playing a lot of minutes, scoring a lot. I think wow. If Toronto starts meshing here and a lot of their guys start getting healthier again and or can stay healthy, I mean, a lot of the guys, the key players, like even Valanciunas is a fairly key player. If everyone can stay healthy, DeMar Carroll keeps playing the way he's playing, that Toronto's going to be, man, look out Cleveland. Like Toronto's going to be a pretty good team toward the end of this year here. So I really love DeMar Carroll. I feel like he is definitely a great value play.
Let's go back to point guard real quick. I wanted to bring up what the play you were talking about earlier, Nelson. You said that you're gonna play him today for 3,100. I like that a lot.
Definitely. I mean, I play in other fantasy leagues and was looking around on my fantasy league for a good pickup last night and did some research on a couple guys that were, you know, had high upside that I could take a chance on that could maybe get me some pretty high upside points on my fantasy league. So did some research and ended up looking and finding out that Emmanuel Mudiay is at the risk of losing his starting point guard role to Jameer Nelson. However, Emmanuel Mudiay had a great game last game. That's Emmanuel Mudiay for you. He's the definition of streaky. Emmanuel Mudiay is always a great GPP play, but he'll burn you 85%, 90% of the time. You're going to get burned by Emmanuel Mudiay. But back to, we're talking about Jameer Nelson here. Yeah, Jameer Nelson is on the verge of taking Emmanuel Mudiay's starting role. It's against the Lakers. It's on a back-to-back. I mean, the setting couldn't be more perfect to punt Jameer Nelson tonight. He's one of my favorite plays for value tonight. You don't even need to the narrative on top of it being he's on a back-to-back and then it's against the Lakers. On top of that, he's played very well the last 3 games. Dropped a 31 last night against Orlando of all teams. So, yeah, Jameer Nelson, I'm in love with him too. But anytime there's a $3,000 guy, I just don't think you can go crazy with him because you could easily get burned for a 13, a 12. However, I don't think he's going to do that tonight. I just want to reiterate the point that anytime you play a guy in the $3,000 range, you do take that risk of him, dunning on you. But tonight, Jameer Nelson is an extremely good play, and definitely have a lot of him.
Yeah, I agree. Friggin' Nelson does have the upside, but yeah, don't go too crazy on him. Let's go ahead and just move on back to the power forwards now. We talked pretty much a lot about the small forwards. You
So,
said not below Doug McDermott.
so who did you want to take at small forward for our lineup tonight then? Uh,
Uh,
Well, I vote Kawhi Leonard or Damari Carroll. I mean, we talked about everyone else. Wilson Chandler is definitely some guy I'll have exposure to, but I think Kawhi Leonard is just.
well, we're building. I want this to be a GPP line, so we said Jimmy Butler would be a better GPP play, right?
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Okay, so we should just go with Jimmy Butler, I think.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the power forwards. Who is worth playing? K-Towns versus San Antonio. Yeah, you can attack San Antonio bigs, but I still don't know if I like that position.
Yeah, San Antonio still has one of the highest rated defenses in the league. They are vulnerable at some positions, but overall, San Antonio's defense is still really good. Um, Towns always has that upside, but definitely think you could get away with fitting Towns tonight. He dropped almost a 40 against San Antonio last game and only shot 18% from the floor, which is horrendous, obviously. But um, you
3 of
know,
16. Yeah.
look for him to have a lot better game. I could see about 50-point upside from Karl Anthony Towns tonight, but it is at San Antonio, so I probably won't be too much exposure to him. As a guy that I think a lot of people won't be on, that I'm starting to get on the train, is Julius Randle. And it's interesting, I want to talk about, because if you look at Julius Randle, the first thing you're going to notice is his last 2 games. And you're going to be like, okay, no thank you. But the weird part about Julius Randle is the matchups that he doesn't have in his favor, or the times where he really shouldn't do well, he always does. And somebody brought that up to me and brought it to my attention, and then I started looking into it. And the times that he's not supposed to do well, he does. And the times that he's supposed to do well and has a great matchup, he doesn't. And it's very interesting. And so for me, I don't think he has the best of matchups tonight against Nikola Jokic and or Kenneth Faried or whoever it may be over there. I don't think that's a great matchup at all for him. And so therefore I look for him to have a good game, which is weird, but it makes sense in a way if you look at his track record. But yeah, I'm not on Julius Randle a ton, but it's somebody who I think is on my radar, and I'm starting to look into him more. Definitely a risky play, but interesting.
I mean, I think he's too expensive. 7.2 for his upside isn't worth it. I mean, he can get you. Are you happy with a 35 at 7.2? Maybe he gets you a 40. I don't know, but I don't know. I guess he is a GPP play.
Yeah, again, he's going to go low owned. He has a 58-point upside, which is very extremely rare. He had a 58 on his recent game list here. Obviously, a 58 is very, he'll probably not get that again this whole season, but his upside is there. I just think he'll go low, super low owned, has a bad matchup, and he's one of those guys that will go off. It's just a GPP play for sure. However, there's a lot of really good point guard or power forwards, so we can continue on. We talked about Wilson Chandler already. Here we go with the one play I wanted to talk about tonight. I don't typically like to play San Antonio guys, but LaMarcus Aldridge is a very good play for his price. He's going to have the recency bias where people are going to look at his recent games, go elsewhere, and I think he's in a great spot tonight in a fast-paced matchup with Minnesota. Yeah, he has Gorgie Dang, maybe a little bit of Karl Anthony Towns even going against him, but they're going to need him tonight. I feel like against last time he did horrible. I don't know. He's a good play. He's in a good price range for me, I think, with his upside.
Yeah, LaMarcus Aldridge has burned me a lot. I really hate to play him, but my GPP-ness tells me that he is a good play, but I don't know. I feel like I'm probably just going to try to pay down for power forward.
Yeah, there's some really good power forwards at value here tonight.
I think I like Dirk's probably one of my favorites. I don't want to play too many Dallas people, but he's just one of those. He could be a 7K player, or it's just he's healthy or getting healthy.
Yeah. The problem is, though, it looks like DeMarre Carroll is available at power forward, and to me, it's too hard to pass up DeMarre Carroll down there at 5,200. I really do like Dirk Nowitzki. I like James Johnson a lot. Even Taj Gibson tonight. One guy that I wanted to bring up that I don't think a lot of people will be on is Gorgie Dang. He's going against San Antonio. He put up a 29 fantasy point game last time against San Antonio fairly recently. His price is all the way down to 5,200. And, if he gets you a 30 for 5,200, I feel like you're pretty happy with that. And that's great, risk times value, basically. So, I don't know. Gorgie Dang is one of my sneaky plays of the night. But, like I said, DeMarre Carroll, Dirk Nowitzki, there's a lot of good plays, too.
dude, I'm just trying to figure out how is he not getting rebounds? Like he against Houston, he went 5 of 5, and he dropped to 16 because he didn't do anything else. Like I don't
Yeah,
know, man.
Gorgie Deng is very sneaky. I'm not saying I'm going to have a lot of exposure to him, but he's one of those guys that I think you should consider in a GPP sneaky play there. Bad matchup, but again, he performed at a 29 last time. If he can replicate anywhere near a 29, that's a lot of value there.
I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, he's a good pivot off of Damari Carroll if you think Carroll's gonna be chalky. I mean,
Yeah, he will be. One guy that I actually forgot about a little bit, I mentioned earlier, was Kenneth Fareed. I actually think that's the play I want to go tonight at power forward. We need to get some value. You want to pivot from Damari Carroll, which I'm fine with rostering Damari Carroll. He will be a little higher owned, but I think a better play and could have the same upside as Kenneth Fareed against the Lakers. Um, he's been playing really well lately. He's definitely one of those streaky guys that could easily burn you tonight, but I think at 4,400, that's a really good price. If he was anywhere in the 5,000 range, I probably wouldn't bother. But at that price, Kenneth Fareed is extremely good play.
no, I agree. I love Cantori at that price.
We need a little bit of value in this lineup, so I don't mind picking Kenneth Fareed. But then again, there are really good plays. You have a nice floor with Dirk Nowitzki, James Johnson. Taj Gibson has been playing well. If Nikola Mirotic is out, I wouldn't mind Taj Gibson.
I mean, you're right. We need some value, so I do want to pay down in this position. I'm just trying to look at the matchups right now, they think on RotoWire. Kenneth Fareed versus Randall, I guess, would be a nice because they have him starting projected on here. I don't know if he will or
Ro-
not, but
RotoWire has Kenneth Fareed at 31.8, projected 7.7 times value.
okay. All right, yeah, let's just plug him in. Why not? We need some rust.
Bad news is that Jameer Nelson isn't going to be sneaky. Jameer Nelson is second on the list at 6.4 times value.
I mean, a chalky punt play is not that big of a deal. I mean, Sergio Rodriguez last night was the chalk of the century, and he dropped like a 30 or 28 or something in Draftkings points. So, I mean, it works out sometimes.
Emmanuel Mudiay is projected at a 30. And Lucas Nogueira is actually projected all the way up at a 28.30. That is actually something we'll need to talk about here next when we get to centers, is some of the value that you can get at center tonight. There's not a whole lot of plays I'm in love with at center tonight, but there are some good value plays. I think that if you want to pay down at center, you can, and I guess we'll get there. But power forward, I say we kind of just close it out and take a pivot punt play and take Kenneth Fareed, which I don't mind taking Jameer Nelson later if we want to pay up for all stars. I'm not sure if you want to take Kenneth Fareed and another punt play. I guess we'll have to see later when it.
No, I mean, I'm fine with maybe going Nelson depending on who we want to pick later. But let's just, yeah, move on to center now. I'm good with power forward. I threw Kenneth Fareed in there. So,
All right.
I don't know. K Towns, we talked about him actually in the power forward position, and we're not really too happy about him. So Hassan Whiteside, I
I,
do kind of like playing him tonight, maybe.
I kind of want you to go and talk me out of him tonight because I think I'm in love with Hassan Whiteside, probably my favorite play at center. I started looking into it a little bit last night, and I was kind of waiting for the show to talk about it. Hassan Whiteside was going to be my beast of the night. The reason why he's not my beast of the night is because he's too up and down, he's too flaky. But for some reason, something's telling me Hassan Whiteside has an insane 2020 game tonight. Uh, I do. I think his Montreal's Harrell. I think his matchup is just dynamite tonight. Um, if you're going to sit here and tell me that Harrell is going to keep Whiteside off from the rebounds, I think you're crazy. So for me, Hassan Whiteside is my favorite play at center tonight. I'm okay with spending up. There is some value on the slate. You're paying for a 65, 70 point upside, even maybe more. I don't know. I'm in love with Hassan Whiteside and just the sheer fact of his matchup. However, there's a lot of other good plays at center for sure.
I did want to mention Clint Capella leg will be available Tuesday against the Heat, but it's uncertain whether he'll start or come off the bench, so it might not be Montrezl Harrell.
Okay, well that's okay. I didn't know that. That changes a little bit. All I'm saying though, if Hassan Whiteside matches up with Harrell the entire game, you know, give me some Hassan Whiteside. So we'll see.
I mean, I
Harrell,
agree, I like him, but
Harrell is a great. Don't get me wrong. No disrespect to Harrell. He's actually performing really good for the minutes he's getting. He's coming around as a player. But you know, you're just not going to match up well with Hassan Whiteside. So I just like to exploit that matchup. If Capella plays, that doesn't change a whole lot. It does change a little bit. It makes me a little bit more wary about playing Whiteside, but for the most part, I think Whiteside is a great play, especially since I think everyone will be on Jokic. And I guess that's what we can go into next here is play of the night for center. I think a lot of people are going to definitely flock toward Nikola Jokic. Anybody who looks at this, whether you play a lot of DFS or a little bit of DFS, is going to click on Nikola Jokic and see his recency bias and just lock him in. And that might pay off for you tonight. And the reason why it might is because of the Lakers. So Nikola Jokic is going to be a lock for a lot of people tonight, and for good reason. He's playing extremely well right now. He's finally becoming the player that a lot of people thought he would become, and a lot of it took a while basically for him. I know there was a lot of that Nikola Joseph Nurkic back and forth between him and Jokic, and obviously now Jokic has finally sealed the deal on that starter consistent 30 plus minutes a night. He's very young. He can play a lot. He's got even more to grow. I think he's far from his potential, which is crazy. The guy's putting up insane numbers, scoring the ball, crazy right now. And actually, I'm looking at his assist numbers. I didn't realize he was that good at assist. Wow, has a ton, easily a lock for a double-double, and then the assists are just out of this world. Easy no-brainer play at center tonight for most people. However, he will be chalky. Is the only reason you might.
Dude. I've seen him do some passes, dude. He's doing some behind-the-back passes, and yeah, Jokic is a really good passer.
Yeah, a no-brainer play at center tonight. Again, he will be very chalky.
You said you want me to talk you off Whiteside, but basically just talked ourselves into it. I mean, if GPP, Jokic, I'm looking at his log, dude. He hasn't busted in a while. He's been getting 30 plus in all of his games since the 26th of December. So today might be the day since it's a back-to-back. I'm trying to see how many back-to-backs has he had. He had one back-to-back. He went against Golden State, dropped to 47. Then he went against Sacramento the next game and dropped only at 37. So that could be the case. If he dropped to 37 at 8.1, I'd be unhappy. So I do like Whiteside. I kind of talked myself into it.
Right, and I think the reason why I like the Whiteside is, again, everyone's going to be on Jokic. However, I do kind of want to talk about a couple more centers here before we decide. I think you can play Dirk Nowitzki at center. I think Valanciunas against Brooklyn is, a nice play. I don't know how high his ceiling is going to be. It is Brooklyn, so they could give up a lot of rebounds, and he could go for maybe 17, 18 rebounds, and in a perfect setting. But I don't really like Valanciunas a lot, but he's one of those guys that every time I don't play him, he goes off. Has one of the best matchups of center of the night. But I think if it were for me building up a center lineup, it'd be hard to get away from some of the guys at the top like Whiteside and Jokic. But if you want to pay down at center, I wanted to bring up real quick, you could play Taj Gibson at center tonight, which is pretty good. Montrezl Harrell, the guy that Hassan Whiteside is probably matching up with. If Capella is still out, he might even be a nice play. There is some value Robin Lopez, Paul Gasol, a little bit of value down here. They're all punt plays in my opinion. They're not punt plays, but definitely risky GPP play. So
What
um,
about Brooke Lopez? Like, if you had to choose between Brooke Lopez and Valanciunas, who would you pick? They both are being about the same minutes, but price about the same. Uh, they're going against each other basically. Like, what do you think?
I don't know. I think maybe Brooke Lopez, and the only reason why is his usage rate is a lot higher. I know Brooklyn gives up a lot of rebounds to centers, and Valanciunas is going to eat that up, but the amount of minutes that Valanciunas gets just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me a lot of times. And I don't know if it's because they're just trying to make sure he doesn't get hurt, or they just the way they have their lineup and their roster, they don't really need him to play 30 plus minutes. But anybody that doesn't hit that 30 plus minute mark just kind of, I don't know. Some guys don't need to play 30 minutes to be really productive, but if you're not playing 30 minutes for me, if you're not playing 30 minutes and you're 6,000, that's just one thing that always, aggravates me, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You're paying a lot of money for someone you want him to play. I do like Robin Lopez. He's against Dallas. He's Dirk Nowitzki is not a good rebounder, and they have him playing center. It looks like, and if Lopez can get some rebounds tonight, I mean, he's been doing decent for his price.
I will go ahead and agree with you on that, but I will raise you a Lucas Nogueira. Uh, this actually Lucas Nogueira is $100 cheaper. Um, he's Nogueira is playing an insane amount of minutes. If Patrick Patterson sits, which let me look at that. If Patrick Patterson sits, I think Nogueira almost becomes uh, an extra, a must play for value.
I think he's coming back today though,
If he
or
comes
might
back,
be.
I would say probably not. But Lucas Nogueira against Brooklyn, oh my gosh, I mean, it's a great play for value. Put up the 28 last time, playing well, playing a lot of minutes. Check all the injury news of Patrick Patterson, but if he sits, I think Nogueira was like
Well, I
extremely good.
like him if Patterson's out, but I already kind of knew that Patterson might be coming back today, so that's kind of why I didn't bring him up right away. But uh, yeah, if Patterson's out, then I do like Lucas Nogueira as my lock value at center. Him or Lopez for sure.
Yeah, when I said lock, I meant like a value. If you're gonna look for value down here,
Well, you know what I mean. There's never really a true lock in DFS because
oh,
you don't want to do that. But yeah. All right. Well, I think we talked pretty much about all the good centers for now. Who do we want to like for this lineup plug in? Do we want to pay up or do we want to pay down? I think pay up's probably the best choice.
probably. The reason why I would like to go Whiteside probably here is because I know we're going to probably lock in value at near minimum price later. So I think we'll be able to afford to pay up at a couple positions. I know we've already paid up for Jimmy Butler. Um, but other than that, we've had some pretty good value. So I think we go Whiteside in this case. If you want to go somebody else, we definitely can. Maybe Jokic or Whiteside is kind of
I
like a
mean, what about a stack? I mean, honestly, I was just thinking that. What if we stack Hassan and then if we have enough money at the end, we can maybe throw in Jokic for security. But yeah, let's just throw in Hassan for now, and then we'll just move on and see if we end up having an, even anywhere close to that much money.
yeah.
All right, guards. Well, we pretty much talked about most of these guys because they were in the other positions, but let me look through here. One person that we haven't mentioned yet that I love tonight is Tyler Johnson, and I don't want to have too many Heat guys, but it's just I love playing those Heat guys because it's just like 7 people, 8 people on that team because they're so injury ridden that all of them play like 30 minutes. They do. Like I'm looking at he doesn't play less than 30 minutes. He always gets about 30, 25 plus. And I mean, between him and James Johnson and Hassan, it's just I love every one of those Heat guys. Deion Waiters, just man, if I could stack this whole team, I would.
Yeah, and they get the Houston defense. It's a very good spot for a lot of anybody on Houston or Miami. The problem is though, who's it going to be? There's a lot of potential, like you said, Tyler Johnson, James Johnson. Um, It could be Dragic. I think you can expect your typical 30, 35 points from Tyler Johnson tonight, though. Especially, like I said, in the fast-paced, high-scoring Houston game. I say right around 35, and that's great value for him. So I definitely like the play also. However, there's just so many good plays around that price too that you could argue Patrick Beverly, Will Barton, Eric Gordon, Ricky Rubio. There's a great plays at guard, great plays everywhere tonight for value. And again, that was my motto tonight was I'm chasing value. So if I'm looking down at value, Tyler Johnson is a great mid-range value. And if you want to punt, I think the punt play of the night, which is no longer as sneaky as I thought it was, is Jameer Nelson at 3,100. If you want to make a lineup with James Harden or you want to make a lineup with any of your All-Stars tonight, I think you can feel comfortable with putting Jameer Nelson in there. He'll probably get you a guaranteed 20. However, like I said at the start or earlier, anybody in the $3,000 range can flop and will flop at some point. You just got to make sure you don't overuse him, stuff like that. So.
What about Corey Joseph? I played him last time against Brooklyn. He got me at 35. If you think it's a blowout, you could always play Corey Joseph, but his minutes are they're pretty locked in the 25s, I guess. So it's just a matter of if he actually makes the shots. But he went 7 of 7, 100% from the field. So I don't know if you can count on him making every single one of his shots again, but yeah.
He's in a good spot against blowout potential in Brooklyn and everything. I just think that if you're going to pay $3,400 for him, you might as well spend or save $300 extra dollars at Jameer Nelson's upside is even higher. And I just feel like he's in a good, fantastic spot. I love the Denver Laker game. I think if you're trying to get upside, you're trying to get value, look at the Denver Laker game. It is going to be kind of like a dice roll, however, with like Lou Williams and the Lakers. Every team or each team, the Lakers and Denver are both literally just so unpredictable as far as who goes off and how streaky and who's going to play. You never know, but it's a gold mine as far as GPP goes. So I love to target the Denver Laker game.
All right, let's just plug him in then to get Nelson out of the way. I mean, we said we were going to play him. I want to play him, so let's just get that value right now and pay for him. All right, plugged him in. All right, forwards. Who do we want here? We talked about pretty much everybody in the forwards. Yeah. Do we want to pay down or pay up?
Well, I'm looking at the mid-range. I'm always a big fan of the mid-range guys. We could get super chalky with DeMarre Carroll. However, we have a lot of money left over.
Here, let me try something. We said we wanted to maybe plug in Jokic, so let me plug in Jokic in our utility and see how much money we'd actually have. All right, we'd have 5,700 left for a forward position. Do you want to try this, or what we got? Wait, my thing messed up.
Taj Gibson, Trevor Ariza, Will Barton. Yeah, I mean, it could work.
I mean, we can go DeMarre Carroll. It's not like you have to use all your money cap. I mean, DeMarre Carroll, good position. Toronto, Brooklyn. This line looks pretty good.
Hold on, if we take DeMarre Carroll, we could pay up. Holy crap. If you take DeMarre Carroll in the forward spot, you could even get Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan. Actually, I know it sounds silly, but Kyle Lowry might not even put up as much as Nikola Jokic.
If it's a blowout, if this game is close, then Lowry's the lock. If this game stays close, that's the main thing.
The problem is, for me, is that even if it does stay close, he's only going to put you at a 45. And, well, I mean, I guess he could get higher than that. I mean, in order to beat Brooklyn, though, he isn't really going to have to go super, super, super crazy. So, man, I don't know. That upside on Jokic is just incredible. However, though, Jokic is on a back-to-back. He played 36 minutes last night. Is a 7-foot player. That is going to be a factor for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's either you're going to have him and he's going to go off, or you fade him and you get rewarded. Maybe I don't know.
Well, and it's hard to look at this because of how volatile all the minutes are and all the guys on Denver. because the coach just doesn't know what to do, and there's a lot of guys that have streaky talent, and you just play who's ever's hot, and it's very confusing. But Nikola Jokic, on the last time he played a back-to-back, didn't look very good. Um, his minutes were only at not below 30. Again, that was before he basically took his leap or whatever you want to call it. But
It's the Lakers, though, man.
that's the only reason why it's a tough. But
You might be right, though. I mean, maybe we should just stick to our guns and maybe fade them in this line. And then I'm going to say this right now. If you're making multiple lines, you play Jokic. But I'm just saying, in this line, we're probably going to try to fade him just to be different, because I think it's a smart play. Do you agree, or
yeah,
should we? I mean,
like I said before when we started talking about centers, I mean, if Nikola Jokic is going to be just like Enes Kanter was almost last night. Not as crazy as Enes Kanter was last night, but Nikola Jokic is going to go super high owned. And I think a lot of people are going to forget he's on a back-to-back. And don't get me wrong, let me clear this up by saying Nikola Jokic is a great play. Nikola Jokic is a fantastic play. The problem is his ownership is going to be super high to the point where um, it's going to be, I don't know, he's just going to be chalk, and if you want to go that route, I don't blame you. I'll definitely have exposure to Nikola Jokic, 30%, something fairly high, but there's definitely good pivots. I think there's a lot of good pivot plays tonight. And one thing I was getting ready to talk about in this lineup was um, there's some decent guys. I was going to say we have 6,900 left. We could get like a Wilson Chandler, D'Angelo Russell. I mean, there's a lot of really good combos left we have with this lineup. So
no,
there's
I
some,
mean, yeah, we could get like a 6K guy and then pay up somewhere else. I mean, it's not like we have to pay all the way up for Lowry.
like we could even go Dirk, have 7.7. That doesn't really work that way though. Um, I like James Johnson a lot against Houston, stuff like that. Like if we got James Johnson, who's that? That doesn't really work.
I mean, that'd be three. I guess I want to go any more than three from one team. I do like Zach Levine. I already told you that. Because I mean, I don't think Danny Green's defense is that good, is it? I mean, or is he lockdown defender?
I don't think it's that good. He's kind of older. He's been around a while now. He's a little bit, not as young and spry. So, but yeah, he's still pretty good. But I don't know.
I mean, hell, you can go Gallinari, Rubio, Eric Gordon. You say you liked him.
I think, and this is just getting GPP here. Maybe not for this lineup, but I like LaMarcus Aldridge tonight. I don't know why. I think he'll go low owned. His recency bias is horrible. I don't think people are going to look at his recent games and definitely not play him. He dropped a 20 and a 21 last time, both 2 games in a row. That's horrible. I think a lot of people are going to have got burned by him if they played him those games, and they're going to look elsewhere. Therefore, making him a great GPP play, a pivot play.
Man, you're making
But
me like him. You're making me like him,
But yeah, no, there's great options here. We could even pay up for Kawhi Leonard to get that nice floor, still have enough room for Wesley Matthews or something like that. But I don't know. I'm gonna go ahead and let you pick this forward spot, and we can wrap this lineup up because I want to get talking a little bit about some value guys that we haven't mentioned yet.
well, I had put Demari Carroll in the 4 position, and then I had a utility spot. What did you have?
Yeah, we could do that and just get Kyle Lowry, but the problem is though, yeah, that's actually probably just the best thing to do. I just trying to get GPP. Tamari Carroll's going to go probably like 27% owned or something.
Okay, that's fine. Let's maybe try to fade him out. Let's see who else at his price can possibly drop.
I mean, that's a great little combo of Damari Carroll, Kyle Lowry. I mean, that's nice. I like that a lot. But I'm just trying to get a little bit more risky. I think for the lineup though, if you want to give this lineup out, I think we just go ahead and go with the Kyle Lowry, Damari Carroll.
Wait a minute. How about? I mean, I'm trying to this broaden our horizons a little bit more though around this price. We got Ryan Anderson here. Okay, I'm looking at him. It looks like he's going to be going against Luke Babbitt. All right, he can possibly go off? I mean, he's had 2 bad games, and he's 5,100. No one's going to be looking to play him. He
Yeah,
has the
definitely go low on. Has a good upside. I, gosh, it's funny because I have Ryan Anderson in my leagues, and other fantasy basketball leagues, and I know his upside. I just have he just frustrates anybody, and for good reason. It's just he's a great play though. I think tonight against in a fast-paced matchup, his recency bias is scary. He only played 23 minutes last game. It was a blowout. Um, he's one of those guys that when he's hot, his upside is almost as high as anybody's 45, 50. Um, you know, we man, he's a great pivot from Damari Carroll. You would just think anybody would be out of their mind if you asked them Damari Carroll, Ryan Anderson tonight. You'd almost be out of your mind to play for Ryan Anderson. But then again, I think that's how you win tournaments. I think that's how you win GPP cash is you play those guys that you don't want to play. Um, because really though, I think a lot of people are going to be on Damari Carroll, so that's a great pivot. Yeah, so I want to talk a little bit about Wesley Matthews. Been playing really good. Went off last time against Chicago.
oh
Uh,
dang, right.
been playing extremely well the last 2 games. Therefore, might give him a little bit of higher ownership. But at that price, that is not going to scare me away. That's perfectly fine. So
I actually like that a lot. Let me see.
I'm going to go Wesley Kawhi. And that is amazing for me because I get my beast of the night. You get the upside and the great repeat matchup with Wesley Matthews. I think that's a great lineup.
Yeah,
Does
I like it. We have Kawhi, we have Butler. I think we were
yeah.
talking about stacking them anyway, weren't we?
Dude, listen to this, dude. We got Kawhi, Butler, and Whiteside. That's fucking awesome.
No, this is a good lineup, and then we can alternate, like we were saying before. If you're making multiple lineups, you can throw in Jokic here, maybe swap in a few other spots. But this is a pretty decent lineup. I hope you guys, like it. If we win tonight, I'll make some more videos. Hopefully, this is just like a testing process right now. I haven't been doing this regularly, so I think we'll end it on that note. Do you have anything else you wanted to say, or do we want to talk about some value picks, or?
Yeah, we won't keep it too long. I know this video, I don't want to say this, but I'd be surprised if somebody was still watching now. This is probably a pretty long video. Maybe next time we'll look to keep it more short, maybe be more to the point. This is my first time on here, and I know maybe drawn out some of the picks too much, but we wanted to cover everything tonight. So real quick before we go, some value plays. These are GPP only value that I was looking into tonight. My favorite play though, and it's not really a super good value play, but my favorite play is probably Eric Gordon tonight. His upside and his production is great. But a guy that I don't think we mentioned was Hamilton. If you look anytime that Brooklyn gets blown out, which the likelihood of them getting blown out is there. Hamilton comes in and plays some decent minutes. He might be a nice punt. Nick Young also could be a good punt. Corey Joseph and Rajon Rondo. One of these games, Rajon Rondo is going to get hot, and they're going to keep him in, and he's going to go off. But you don't want to have too much exposure to guys like those that I just mentioned, like especially Rajon Rondo. But those are type of guys that will go off. It's just a matter of when. If they get the minutes and stuff like that, they have a good game and stuff. But yeah, this lineup looks really great. So anybody who plays it tonight, leave a comment below, and hopefully it does well and people win cash tonight. And thanks for having me on.
All right, guys. Good luck and win some money.